Focaccia in a day? Yes, please. If I can do it, you can too. And thank you, Lacey Ostermann, for the great recipe. Okay, we're going to start with 390 milliliters of warm water. We are going to add a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. Also going to add a package of yeast, which is 6 grams or 1.5 teaspoons of yeast, a teaspoon of honey, and that is it. Then we're going to whisk it together. And I like to let it sit for about 5 minutes to make sure my yeast is working. After 5 minutes, you can see there's some good stuff happening in there. So I'm going to be adding my bread flour, and here I've got 500 grams of bread flour that I'm going to add, as well as some salt, and I have 10 grams of salt. She calls for fine sea salt. I just have a finer kosher salt, so that's what I'm going to be using. Then I'm going to be stirring this until it comes together. At this point, you can see the dough has somewhat come together, but is quite dry. And she mentions adding up to another 30 milliliters. So I'm just going to be adding a little bit more because I do want this dough to be quite moist until I'm getting the consistency. And I left her link below so that you can see her video and find the consistency that you're looking for with this dough. So I'm just putting this together. And you can see it's still a bit tough, so I feel like I need to add a little bit more water. And I think at this point I might be adding more than 30 milliliters of water to get it as moist as she was showing in hers. So let's just get this going. This is my first time making it, so I'll let you know if this all comes out. Just kind of getting this together. So I have my fork in here, and let me see. All right. It's got a bit of pull, so I think that might do. Not sure if it's quite as hydrated as hers, but I do know that I've added more than 30 milliliters, so I'm going to stop here, and now we're going to cover it and let it rest at room temperature for 15 minutes. Okay, 15 minutes is up, and I realized that I forgot to scrape. That was one of the things they suggested before you let it rest. So I'm going to just scrape it for this part because we're going to be doing what's called a stretch and fold. Now, I am familiar with the stretch and fold technique because I had done that with sourdough, and there is a video of my niece teaching me how to make sourdough, which you can find on my channel. But let's do this. We are going to do stretch and fold 8 times. And then we're going to let it rest for another 15 minutes. So get your fingers wet with some more water. You're going to turn, and you're going to, that's our second one, turn, and you're going to, that's our third one, turn, that's our fourth one, turn, and we're going to do it 4 more times. There we go, 1, 2, 3, and 1 more, 4. And then I'm going to take that scraper and just kind of get all those down there. We're going to let this rest for 15 more minutes, and we're going to cover it. See you back then. Okay, that 15 minutes is up. Let's take a look. And now we're going to do 8 more stretch and folds, and we're going to try to get this to be in a ball shape. And then it's going to rest covered for 1.5 hours. So this is my 4th one. This is 5th. 6, 7, and 8. Okay, I didn't feel like I needed to add water that time. It's pretty spongy, you can see this dough, but I do want to kind of flip it over, so I am going to use water to kind of get this together and flip it. So let me see if I can do this without making a total mess. Oh, there we go. That kind of works. So we're going to kind of make this into a ball. See if you can tell that. And we're going to put that in there. There we are. And we're going to cover and check back in an hour and a half. Okay, so it has been an hour and 15 minutes. And if you can see, we are really expanding here. So I am going to stop this process, not wait for the hour and a half. Take off my lid. Look at that. Ooh. Look at that. Look at that. Big old bubble there. Okay, so this grew a little bigger than I was expecting. So now what we're going to do is we are going to turn it into, or onto, I should say, this prepared baking pans. This is a 9 by 13. What I've done here is I put some olive oil on the bottom, put some parchment paper, and now what we're going to do is put some more olive oil on the top. She says about 3 tablespoons. So just going to guesstimate. There we go. That looks good. And then I'm going to turn this out onto this pan somehow. So let's get this going. Let's see how this goes here. So let's see here. Let's get this turned out with my scraper. There we go. Okay. All right. That worked pretty well. And then what we're going to do is we are going to be folding this into 3. So we're going to fold this up, a little stickage, this up like so. And then this is going to go up like so. And then, we're going to be, she said, sticking to the edges. All right, then we're going to flip it like this. So we kind of knit flip it. We just turned it. Do you see that? And now we're going to actually flip it. There we go. Okay. All right, and then we are going to cover this. And what I did was I got a piece of parchment paper. You could cover it with the top, but I'm just going to get a piece of parchment paper that I put some oil on the one side so we don't have the stickage that you just saw happen. So that's going to go over top like so. And I'm going to let this sit for another hour to hour and a half. And I'm going to keep an eye on it because I think since it's summer and it's a little warmer in here than it might be in fall, winter, or spring, I think I'm rising, my dough is rising a little quicker. And by the way, this could also go in a cookie sheet if you want a flatter focaccia. I want a little bit thicker focaccia that I can use to make sandwiches. So that's why I'm choosing to do it in this 9 by 13. So see you in an hour to an hour and a half. Alrighty, it has been an hour and this fella is definitely rising totally fine. So we are going to get this party started. If your focaccia dough was not to the side, you could pull it. So I can try to pull it over here a little bit, but you can see that it's actually quite close. I mean, I can try to get it over a little bit there. I don't know if that's really necessary, and I'm kind of just deflating it. There we go. Okay. I don't know that did any good. Super pleased on how this is all, how it's all going. I think it's going well. So I'm going to now put some more olive oil over top, and we are going to dimple. This is one part I've been really looking forward to, is the dimpling. So when you dimple, you're just pushing your fingers in and creating all of that dimple texture that's going to be in there. I think that looks good. I love these little bubbles here. Like, look at that over there. How cool is that? Lovely. All right, so now we're gonna just get some salt on top. So I would get your best finishing salt that you have. If you have some fleur de sel, which is what I have, that is great. Otherwise, some kosher salt, just something nice to finish on top. So I have some fleur de sel, and I'm just going to sprinkle this over top, give it a nice salting. There we go, some good flavor. That seems about right. Alrighty, so let me show you this up close before we put it in. So look at this, look at those bubbles. Look at those, like right there, look at that. Loveliness. I hope this is gonna be super airy. Looking forward to it. So going into the oven, I'm gonna do convection at 400, I think for about 25 minutes. Again, everything will be down below, all the directions. based on what she put for her recipe, put it at the very bottom of your oven. And one of the things I'm going to do, you put it on the oven so that the bottom gets nice and crispy. One of the things I'm going to do is put my pizza stone at the bottom there, just so that can get that bottom super hot and hopefully create a nice crust on the bottom. So we'll see you when it's done. Hey, look at that beauty. Let's get her done. And here we go. Look at that. Oh my goodness. Now I will tell you, I ended up baking this longer than they had said. Let me show that a little close and I'll get you a better shot in a sec. I think she said 18 to 25 minutes and I had it on convection. I even turned the convection up because I originally had it down at 400 because the original temperature was 425. And for like the last 10 minutes, I had it at 450. I just wasn't getting enough browning and I knew I needed it to be browned. A cutting board, just to show that to you. So the last thing we want to do is we just want to give it another little drizzle with some olive oil, and you are set. Look at that. Gorgeous. See if I can get the squish. Yes. Oh my gosh. We're going to let it cool for about 10 minutes. I think 10, 15 minutes, and then we'll cut it open and see how we did. It is just so pillowy. I cannot even. Oh, I gotta show you this. Look at that. Look at that. I would love there to be bigger holes there. I'm not gonna lie, but it is so squishy, which I'm super happy about. So this turned out really nice. Now I cannot wait to taste it. I just love the texture. Let me see. Got a great little pull. Super yeasty. I didn't want to dip it in anything. I wanted to get the true taste. It's great fluffy, great chew. But soft. And the olive oil flavor is wonderful. I'm pretty pleased with my first focaccia. I think this is a great first recipe to use in trying. You can use different toppings, rosemary, I mean, so many different things you could put on top, flavorings. I know I've seen some focaccia lately also where they're doing like a cinnamon sugar take on it. Gotta love that. But this is a great basic recipe, very easy. In one day, you've got focaccia. I mean, how nice is that? So totally recommend. Great first try. Good luck. Let me know if you try it.